Lovely to have you here. My name is Sean Bailey, and I am the president of production at Walt Disney Studios. On behalf of Richard Bates, Tendo Nagenda, Louis Provost, and all of my colleagues at the Walt Disney Company, I just wanted to say it is wonderful to have you here, to see so many new friends and old friends. I would like to thank Shawnice Washington, President and CEO of the CBC Foundation. Thank you very much for putting it together this evening. I'd like to begin with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. I have the distinct honor of introducing Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of Brooklyn.
Wonderful. A pleasant good evening to each and every one. I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke of the 9th Congressional District of New York. I'd like to thank Sean Bailey, President of the Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture Production, for inviting all of us to join here, as well as my esteemed colleagues, Congresswoman Bass of California, Senator Coons of Delaware, and of course, our Senator from New Jersey. Let's give Cory Booker a big round of applause, everybody. Just as brilliant creators such as Shonda Rhimes and Lee Daniels have become household names, Queen of Katwe will continue to create an environment in which the voices of women and men of African descent are celebrated as a vital part of our American culture. As an African-American woman who represents the communities of Brooklyn in the United States House of Representatives, I have a responsibility to hold media accountable for its efforts to include our voices in the conversation and to accurately depict and reflect our very diverse civil society. As chair of the Sojourner Truth Legacy Project, I've worked to open doors for African-American women at every level of government. Today, there are 23 African-American women in Congress, and we have built a pipeline that will allow our numbers to expand. So I want to thank Disney, I want to thank Terrell Whitley and his team, and I want to thank all of you for coming out to what I know is going to be a very special evening.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Congressmember Karen Bass of California.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here with you this evening, and also it is wonderful to see so many people here to see this film. I know it's going to be a very exciting evening, and I really want to thank Disney for making a film like this, and of course the wonderful actors and actresses who we hope to see in LA next year for the Academy Awards.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But let me just say that I really appreciate Disney for doing this, because those of us that work on African issues, we spend so much time trying to shift the way people view the continent away from viewing the continent, well, first of all, viewing it as a continent of 54 countries and not a country, but also to have folks in the United States see the continent the way so many other people do around the world, which is a place of hope, a place of opportunity, a place that's on the rise. And to me, a film like this helps to contribute to that. So I really want to congratulate Disney for doing that. And in addition, thank you, give them a round of applause. In addition, to have a film that focuses on women and women's empowerment. Again, we do know that there's a lot of challenges in Africa. There's a lot of security-related issues and other issues, but to have a film like this that shows hope, that shows leadership, and that shows the direction that I know that the continent is going in. And so to me, it's not just the enjoyment of the film, but it's also raising awareness for people all across the United States, and is a beacon of hope. So thank you so much.
And it is now my immense pleasure to introduce Senator Chris Coons.
Thank you to Sean Bailey and Tendo Nagenda and to everybody at Disney. This is a remarkable film and a fantastic evening. To Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and Congresswoman Karen Bass, and to the Congressional Black Caucus, thank you for what you've done to help pull this together. This is an exciting opportunity for all of us. As you heard in Sean's introduction, as a young man, I had an opportunity to spend time in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in Uganda, and to be deeply touched, moved by the people who I lived with and worked with, and who I had the opportunity to learn from. What you will see tonight is not just the fantastic Disney magic with a great story, that so many of us have come to know and love as we grew up, but also a very powerful message. As Congresswoman Bass shared, we view the continent of Africa through a lens of opportunity and a lens of hope. Every year I hold a conference in my home state of Delaware entitled Opportunity Africa that focuses on all the remarkable things that are happening on the continent. The Congresswoman was kind enough to come last year. We've traveled together to Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania and South Africa, and what we see, we hope you will see through the power of this film. A film that isn't just a great story, it's a great message about the capacity, capability, and empowerment of women. The story of Fiona Mutesi, as beautifully portrayed in the film, and an African who is the champion for her skills and strength in Robert. They are beautifully played by David and Lupita. This is a remarkable film, but it's also an insight into the challenges every day in one of the toughest places in the world, Katwe, and a reminder that the God-given spirit of some of the most creative, most capable people in our world resides in some places very far from Washington, D.C., but very close to our hearts. Again, my thanks.
I do want to quickly say, I want to say thanks to our director, Mira Nair, and our producers, Lydia Pilcher and John Carls, who is here tonight. Thank you, John, brought this story to us originally. Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you here. As Senator Coons mentioned, this is a story of how much potential there is out in the world that may be overlooked, not just on the continent of Africa, but worldwide. And also what happens when we go out and look for it and nurture it and grow it. And so I have a couple of very special introductions to make. I would like to introduce you to the real-life protagonists of the real-life story. Here is the actual Queen of Katwe, Fiona Mutesi, and Robert Katende. And we could not have been more blessed at our two principal actors who came together to get this movie made at Disney and to bring this story out into the world. I would now like to introduce David Oyelowo and Lupita Nyong'o.
Evening, everyone. Can you hear me? So I just wanted to say briefly that the film you're about to see is one that I'm very proud of as a father, as an African, and as now an American. I became a citizen last month. So, but as a father, you know, you should know, when I read this script, I decided I was going to do the film as a love letter to my daughter, to my 4-year-old girl, Zoe. And hopefully when you see the film, you'll see what I mean. Gender inequality is something I am fiercely against. No one should be marginalized on the basis of their gender or anything else. Cultural biases across the world, including here in America, does mean that, you know, girls are being denied education, being denied safety, and things like that. And it's going to take a village. It's going to take a global village to solve that problem. As an African, you know, images that you will see in this film are the likes of which we don't get to see in film. And I truly believe it bucks a lot of the perception of Africa. If one more person asks me if I'm going to see any lions when I'm going back to Lagos, it happens, trust me. But my pride extends to Disney as well. The fact that the largest media company in the world would make this movie is absolutely incredible. It's to be applauded, it's to be encouraged, and I hope it's exemplary for the rest of Hollywood. So, as a big fan of women, of ladies, and their empowerment, I will now hand over to one of the greatest, most incredible, most glamorous, and talented ladies I know, Lupita Nyong'o.
Thank you. Hello. Hi. It's great to be here and to be here with a film that I feel so proud of. I'm passionate about this film because it shows what good can come out of empowering a child to dream. I was very fortunate to have parents that gave me the liberty to follow my dreams and imagine and realize them as long as they were constructive and productive for me. But I also recognized that I was in a very privileged family. Fiona Mutesi, standing right here, did not have privilege on her side, but what she did have was a fighting spirit and a mentor that guided her to a platform where she could realize her best self. And I think it's so important to highlight that and let the world see this story, because this film is about the small one becoming the big one. And so I'm so happy to share it with you today, and that we have a film where Africans are front and center and they're aspiring for greatness and they achieve it. So please enjoy this film that moved me the very first time I read it, and I hope it moves you today.